Alright guys, welcome to part 2 of riding in my caddy. So a couple things. I realized I'm going to show you a clip of me laying in bed, jumping up and recording immediately after I had a thought. So check this out. Alright, forgive the bad audio here. You ever just kind of been chilling, thinking about everything, thinking about what the issue could be, and I realized there's two ground from the block to the body chassis. There's one that's braided, that's smaller, and there's this one, pretty big. Alright, look at that. You guys see that? Anyway, it was given continuity all over the place. It was not zero, that's for sure. I tried to use jumper cables in its place to test, but those jumper cables were crap. They're really meant just for quick bursts to get a car started. They're not meant to be perfect. So if you look closely at this too, I don't even think the guy knew this. It's been like repaired before. Somebody cut it back and cleaned it or something. So I need to get a replacement one of these. This is 2 gauge, I believe. It's late now. Amazon won't be here. If I order it now, we won't be here till Wednesday. So I'm probably gonna go tomorrow. Right now, Cadillac's down. The BMW is still in the garage, undone, and my Mercedes is down because the EIS module needed replaced. So I can't do anything until after my wife gets home tomorrow, and I can use her car. So after work tomorrow, I'll go get a new cable, and it sucks because I already went to AutoZone today, and I looked at these, and I was like, nah, I should have just grabbed it just to have it in the first place. Anyway. Alright, so that was me. I was already laying in bed. I jumped out of bed to record that, and show you what I did here. It did help. Some of the issues, it did not solve it. Take a look. I got 2 new ground cables from the block over. I was doing readings from the block to the chassis ground, and the issue was I was seeing about 0.19 millivolts, and according to everything I could find, it should be about 0.050 millivolts. From the block to the ground over that ground strap. So couple of issues that were happening, probably speaker blown, stuff like that, probably weird electrical issues. I got that fixed. What I did not get fixed is the starting, and this hurts after all the troubleshooting I did with the electrical. That's the oil filter. That's pretty bad. So what I think's happening, there's little pieces of metal in there, but nothing like crazy. But with how bad that is, it's possible it flushed contaminants back in. If that was clogged enough, actually, the oil would have went through the bypass valve, so any little pieces of oil were never getting picked up by the filter, interfering with those camshaft position sensors. Back probed the signal wire with the key on, 5 volts. If I held a bolt up to the sensor, it dropped to 0 volts. Back probed it while I was back in the car. They're staying at 5 volts. And I think it's because there's enough metal shavings around there causing the issue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the oil, put a new filter in. Hopefully I can get it started. And if that's the case, I'll drive it around for a little while, change the filter again, and take a look. Then from there, I will drive it around a little bit longer, then change the oil and the filter. Oil the second time, filter for a third time. So I need to jack this up, let the oil drain, and then I have to do some work on my daily. My Mercedes, I got the EIS module back in, so I got to reassemble the steering column and put that in and make sure it starts and everything. But while this is draining, I'm going to do that, and I'll come back to here. Once it's all buttoned back up, I will try to start it, and we'll see what happens. Alright, hopefully I fit all the way under here. Oil plug is right there. Hopefully it is a 15. That'll be pretty nice, so I don't have to get back out because it is cramped. Okay, that's not a 15. That's like a 13. I should just learn to bring the sockets with me. All right, before I put it on, it's a 13. All right. Well, that was pretty loose. All right. Oh. Hopefully it's 6 quarts, because that's what I got there. That's a 6-quart pan. If it overfills, it overfills, but it's slowing down already, so. All right. I'm gonna let this fully drain, and then I'm gonna work on my car while it drains. And then we'll be back to this in a few minutes. My car is done running again after over a week. Had the EIS module, had to send it out to get cloned because mine died. Only the signal circuit 50, which is what sends the signal for the car to actually start. So I got that cloned, got that replaced. I was able to just go drive it around, so that was nice. But, okay, so first thing we're going to do here, we're going to put the new filter in. Always remember, there's the gasket, the rubber O-ring right there. You need to make sure you take that off of your old one. And when you buy a new filter, let me set you up here. All right, when you buy a new one, they provide you with the ring. So you just want to take a little pick. They sell these at Harbor Freight. I think I got mine right at the checkout aisle. You know, get a little 4-pack of different ones, different shapes. They're like $5. I use them all the time, nonstop. They're great. Throw that in the garbage pile. Also, you get oil on your hands. Use it to open the new one. And then just slide it on like so. Bam. And got a little bit of residual oil in there, so I'm just going to dump that out. And I want to show you guys this oil, but I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not. I'll be right back. Watch the car for me. You guys did a terrific job. Thank you. All right, usually shouldn't use an impact on this, but I left my tool bag with all of my hand tools in my father-in-law's truck. So I'm just going to put this on here. You hear that? Just gently. That's it. I'm not going to go crazy. All right, check this out. So I don't know if it's going to come up on camera at all, but there is definitely, yeah, it doesn't come up on camera at all, but I can see swirls of the metal in there, which enough of that passing through the camshaft. Let's see if I can hit any angle. There we go. See that all right there? That's little metal swirls. I took a magnet already. I didn't feel anything at the bottom of the pan, so it's just little pieces of metal in there. And I think there was just enough of it that if it passed the camshaft, it was just throwing it off. So, I don't know. I'm going to put some oil in it, take it off the jacks, unplug the fuel pump, crank it a few times to build some oil pressure, and then we'll try to start it, I guess. So, let me just dump this oil in and we'll be right back. All right, fuel pump's removed. I'm going to go ahead and crank it a few times and let pressure build up, and we'll go from there. All right, I'm gonna clear codes first, then I'm gonna try to crank it again with the fuel pump relay back in. I don't know if that footage recorded, but it started for like 3 seconds and then it died. And I'll be real with you guys. If it's reluctor wheels, I don't know, but I'm feeling extremely anxious right now. I spent over $2,000 on this thing, and if I can't get it working, I'm gonna have to part it out, or it's gonna be another BMW where it sits here forever, and I only have a 2-car garage. I'm gonna scan it and see if those codes come back for the same issue. I'm assuming they will, which I've changed the oil now. There shouldn't be really any metal. Yeah, let's see what the scanner says. At least I fixed one car today. At least my my daily is running, so now I can go places. I don't have to walk to AutoZone again like I did the other day. Alright, let's just do a control module scan. We're just going to scan the trouble codes for the ECU. Current trouble codes. Intake camshaft, voltage bank 1. Exhaust camshaft sensor, circuit low voltage, bank 1. Wait, low voltage? I got a low voltage now. So intake bank 1. I wonder if the sensors failed. So intake bank 1, let me refer to this. Intake bank 1 and exhaust bank 2. Okay, that's 4 and 8. So I don't know if you can see this, but 4 and 8. So it's on the diagram, it's 4 and 8. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 2 and 4. But now I have a low voltage, which is different. I'll be right back. Let me do some research. It's running. I don't know if it's going to stay running. My camera's about to die, so let me plug my camera in. I'll be right back. Okay, camera's plugged in. I'm going to scan the codes. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it over the engine. Let's try this out. It idled down. That's for sure. Oil pressure is great. We're going to look at the control module. We're going to go to the engine control module. We're going to look at live data. And we're going to check camshaft positions. We're going to do intake, bank 1, intake, bank 2, exhaust. Okay, we're going to look at all the desireds. And then we're going to also look at intake, bank 1, intake, bank 2. I'm seeing exhaust, banks, and variance, but I'm not seeing... I don't know when it stops recording again. Same codes are back. This time I think... Hold on. Bring you guys with me. Man, this hurts my head. So with the position of the reluctor wheel, it reads 5 when I plug it in. It's possible that there's a short under operation. There's a short when the engine starts to vibrate. There's some crimped wiring somewhere. That 5 volt is deteriorated and sending 5 volts up the ground wire, so it's always reading high. I don't know. That's it for me today. I'll be back in a second, guys. Good morning. Welcome back to the next day. For you guys, you were just chilling, waiting for the scene to change. Got some things to show you. I had one of those, like you saw in the beginning of the video, one of those late night thoughts, except this time happened right after I had a huge cup of coffee. It was raining outside yesterday in the morning before work. I was working from home yesterday, and before work I had the thought, and let's check this out. You hear that? It was a little hard to start, but she started. She started, boys. Yeah. Alright, but why did she start? That's the question. And I'm going to show you here. So let me get my tripod set up on the engine bay, and I can do some probing to show you something here. So, we have to get something out of the way now. Fundamentally, I was mistaken earlier, and I was saying it was going to 5 volts or whatever. Here's what happens. On the signal wire, with the key on and the engine on, at 0 volts until metal is in front of the sensor, in which case it rises to 5 volts, which is the reluctor wheel spinning. And when it hits the gap in the reluctor wheel, it drops back to 0 volts. Sees the metal, 5 volts. And the issue I was having is in the engine, it was always at 5 volts. And so I'm going to show you a demonstration real quick. I have the sensor back probed on the signal wire with the sensor plugged in and grounded. And right now, 0.04 volts. I'm going to take this piece of metal to simulate the reluctor wheel, put it in front of the sensor, and watch what happens. 5 volts. Pull it away, 0.04 to simulate the gap again. So I was sitting there yesterday morning, had all my coffee, and I'm sitting there and just, if you ever seen Jimmy Neutron, I had a brain blast, right? What if these sensors are too sensitive? These are not OEM AC Delco, these are Bosch. I replaced the system with Bosch. The previous owner replaced them with Bosch. So I have 8 Bosch sensors here. All of them, same issue. So what I did is, if I ever so slightly set this in its hole, and I don't fully seat it, just enough, because if I seat it all the way, it sees 5 volts, but if I wiggle it out just a little bit, when there's a gap, 0.04. The sensors are too sensitive, so even when there's a gap in the reluctor wheel, it is picking up the whole camshaft and the sprocket behind it, when it should not even be sensitive enough to see that. So for a better demonstration, I'm going to draw it on the whiteboard of knowledge, and I'll show you guys what I mean. All right, whiteboard of knowledge. I'm going to do my best to draw the reluctor wheel. It's not exactly like this, but it's, you know, it starts as like a circle, and then it has like weird teeth or whatever. It's not exactly like this, but whatever. But anyway, it's a circle with little teeth like that, and what happens is the sensor sits, say, let's draw the sensor in green. The sensor sits right here, right? That's the sensor. As this spins, it sees metal, so it goes to 5 volts. Then when it sees the gap, 0 volts. Metal, 5 volt, 0 volt, 5, 0, 5, 0, 5. As it spins, that's how it's seeing it. And now, what we're seeing here is, here's the sensor, and here's the engine where it sits in. This is where the sensor is. Basically, the reluctor wheel is about right here. So that's kind of as far as the sensors should read, directly in front of it. The problem is, it's reading to about right here, which is right where the sprocket sits. And that explains why if I back the sensor out a little bit, it doesn't see the sprocket anymore, just the reluctor wheel. And that has been the issue the whole time. All right, guys, it is several days later, and I don't know how to say this. There's issues. There's bigger issues than we ever imagined. While trying to put the junkyard sensors in, I actually was doing all 4 this time and noticed that one of the sensors would not go in all the way. If I put this sensor in, it sticks out about 3 millimeters from where it should against the cylinder head. And it's the right part number. I double checked. There's no different for intake exhaust. I'm just going to show you. I don't know how this happened. So we took the intake off, and we took the valve covers off, and we found this timing chain kit is for a 2004-2006 CTS. Same part numbers for the intakes, same part numbers for the exhausts. 2004 to 2006. I'll put it up on the screen for you now so that you can see what it was and what it should be. So we have to disassemble everything and do a whole timing job. 2004-2006 CTS had a 3.6 liter engine, and it was the LY7, I believe. So it's a little bit different than this one. There's revisions made to this one, and I'm guessing what happened is somebody Googled Cadillac CTS timing chain kit and bought the first one that showed up, and it bolted up, but there's some slack in the chain, and I don't know. I don't know how this happened. So I have the correct kit on order. That's $500. I have the tool to lock in the crankshaft and the camshafts in place. I have the instructions. I'm going to watch a video on all of this. I'm going to read the instructions over before we do this. We should be able to do it this weekend. Today is Monday. Hopefully, if all the stuff shows up, we'll be able to do it then. Do it on Sunday. And I don't know how the engine started. I don't know how it was able to start. I don't know how the only codes we received were for the camshaft position sensors, which now makes sense because look at this. So this is the sensor right here. That little black spot is the tip of the sensor, and this is the reluctor wheel. They are so close together, which explains why it was always seeing 5 volts. I think the correct ones are shorter, not as wide, the actuators I mean, and the reluctor wheel is closer to the face, I believe. So that is going to be, we have to take off the accessory bell and the serpentine bell and all that stuff. And there's plenty of space here to do the job, especially with the timing cover off. It's supposed to be pretty easy with this on. I mean, if I need to, I can take off the fan shroud, but still should be pretty straightforward. As for right now, I'm at a standstill with this. There's nothing I can do. I mean, I could start disassembling this, but I really don't want to start disassembling all this until we're going to go put the new stuff on, because I want it to be fresh in my mind, and especially I want to have time to review, make sure it doesn't matter what order I take it off, and like timing it theoretically is simple. I just got to make sure it makes sense to me in my head, and I'm going to have to take the starter off to put the crankshaft locking tool in place. But other than that, I think the metal shavings were coming from like the chain somewhere down here where something was rubbing where it shouldn't be. So changing out the timing components should fix it. So I guess that's all for now, guys. Today's Monday. I'll have this video up Wednesday, and then I'll start working on it Sunday, and hopefully have another video for you guys next Wednesday. Everything I've done so far on this car, all the diagnostics and everything, I mean, the chances of this being the case were just ridiculously small. I mean, who does that? I guess you see some stuff and the YouTube people do dumb stuff all the time, but I'm going to barely break even on this car. I'm a little bit bummed, but I'm gonna be real with you guys. This is kind of what happens sometimes. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm not gonna say this is all peachy and make it look good for YouTube and whatever. This is what happens. But the good news is I did fix the bad grounding, and I did fix the battery and all that. That was an issue. In general, this is just a case of a very neglected and poorly taken care of car. And it only has 106,000 miles. So I'm hoping that doing all this, we can save this. We can bring this back to life. We can give it new life and let it live on as a Cadillac. A 200 and something horsepower Cadillac. Alright guys, I'm going to stop rambling. I'll see you guys later. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment. Let me know if you've ever seen anything like this. And please, if you're a tech or you're a mechanic and you've worked on stuff like this, I would love to hear your input on this. I would love to hear anything you have to say about this, especially on these LY7 3.6s. See you guys later.